With the Roe v. Wade stuff going on, I understand that it'd be pretty pointless for a bunch of guys in a room to be talking about what we think of it.
Oh, speak for yourself. I got so many opinions as a man.
I think it might be more valuable to share any personal stories that we might have with abortion itself in the past.
Well, I'll start.
Can't wait. Well, as a group of dudes, man, we've never had abortions, so what do you mean?
Here's something that might be kind of interesting.
I got 20 friends that did it.
20 different friends.
They were the aborted. No, so like growing up Seventh-day Adventist, you're just kind of programmed already to be against abortion no matter what. You don't even want to hear.
I didn't even know it was a thing until like way later, like high school or something.
Right.
Cause like they don't even mention it.
All we knew was to shame anybody that we ever heard of that ever had it. And then
That'll help, right?
Yeah,
that helps them.
Scarlet Letter whole thing, yeah. So in high school, like I was already still super against it. We don't even talk about it unless that's what you have to say. Until my girlfriend at the time got pregnant.
Until your girlfriend?
Yeah.
Oh shit.
So she cheated on you and got pregnant?
No, Immaculate Conception.
She was like the Mother Mary?
Yeah, well it was when I was 16 and then, 17. I was 17 in high school and she goes, I'm pregnant. And I swear to God, my opinion switched that night. Wow. And I think that's a really important thing is that everybody who says they take a stance on a certain thing kind of has to be faced with the issue itself.
Definitely.
I had never been more pro-abortion than that exact moment that she told me that.
Sure.
And I totally went against all my shit and went, I'm not ready for this kid. I'm a fucking 17-year-old idiot. Like.
So I don't know much about it, but whenever I heard the concept of it, I've always felt like, yeah, it's probably the girl's choice. But I don't know what are the main arguing points besides anything that's based in religion. Like why are
moral things? Yeah.
Well, the main argument point would be when is it considered living?
Oh, I see.
So at what?
So it's like murder.
That's what everybody's arguing about. Yeah.
Because I think most Christians would agree that the point of contraception or whatever, like conception, yeah, the point of that's already.
I see.
It's already
the fertilized egg is fully grown.
But then some people will argue like no, not really until maybe like I don't know 2 weeks in. I don't know.
Third trimester. Yeah, there's so many. different
there's
things.
different. Yeah.
Depending on who you talk to, right?
Depending
on what state you're in.
Yeah, definitely. But the Roe versus Wade doesn't make it like what do you call it, like abortion illegal or anything like that. It just makes it, now it's the state's mandate, like the states choose versus the federal government.
Too bad the fucking news doesn't say it like that, because holy shit.
No, they don't want to say it like that.
I think that's why, like, I don't get the facts, I don't think, like, from the news, so I don't really...
Yeah, abortion isn't illegal.
Yeah, I don't quite understand, and then, like, the way people are arguing, I'm pretty sure that's not the point of what you're arguing, you know?
They're just making it so, like, the states can choose. So then now people are afraid that the states that are in the Bible Belt, that are traditionally against abortion and stuff, they might be like, okay, well, we have the freedom to do it, then we're just going to ban it completely. And that makes it so that, you know, like people are gonna go out and get illegal abortions or they have to go out of state or whatever.
Yeah,
that's basically the gist of all this stuff.
Yeah, but that kind of just goes to show, right? So that those people, they already disagreed with this because it was like law in all of 50 states. So they're going, well, if it was up to our government, we wouldn't allow it in our state. So even though I personally agree with abortion, like that doesn't matter because it's up to them in their state to have domain over where they're at and what they believe. So it's just one of those things where I, you know, for me personally, I'm like, yo, anytime that like the scenario that exists where if you want to enforce a law, you got to point a gun at a pregnant lady's head. For me, I'm out. I don't want to have anything to fucking do with that, right? Yeah. But some people are like, hey man, that's the law in my area. And I'm like, well, you go fucking be there then.
That's the thing that's interesting is whenever I see anybody like, and this is a good example, Roe v. Wade, because people come out of the woodwork with their super strong, unwavering, stalwart opinions, and they're like, no, nothing will change my mind. But then I think the first time I ever shook on my beliefs was this. Is that
when it was up to you?
Yeah, and when it was me that's faced with it, it's like, yeah, it's easy to like stand on the side and then be like, no, I will never do that shit. Exactly. And then literally in the day, I was like, I would do that shit. Honestly, I would.
Because a lot of the rationale, the people that stand outside and picket, they always go, well, don't abort it? Why don't you just adopt it? Like put it into adoption, right? Like that's like the best solution ever.
And that's not to say that I think that everybody who has a strong, opinion needs to have a personal connection with dealing with themselves. I just think that's where you really got to check yourself on your own beliefs on whether or not they're that like all the way one color.
Yeah.
So much greater.
Or also, I think even a practical viewpoint on it. So, my closest, I guess, like association with abortion was my mom got an abortion. So I was the first kid, and my mom and my dad had a really rocky relationship, and I was supposed to have a little brother. And I even remember like being maybe like 3 or 4, being really excited to have a little brother, and we got like a sonogram put on top of our TV. That's something my mom would tell me. And there's like all these child pictures of me standing next to my mom, and my mom's in maternity clothes. Like she's about to have another kid. But the relationship between me and my mom and my dad was really bad. And then so I think they decided, and I think my dad didn't want it. I think my mom was down to keep, because I think most moms are more attached. But my dad didn't want it, so she was like, all right. And then if you don't want this, then we're not gonna try again. You're just gonna be stuck with one kid or whatever. They ended up going through with it, didn't have it, and I think they changed their mind later on. I don't know if my mom was older or whatever, but she did get pregnant a 3rd time, but then ended up having a miscarriage. But also seeing how rocky their relationship is, and when like a kid isn't conceived, like the way that me and Gio planned it, right? And it's conceived out of love and a goal. Like we were buying her fucking those hipster ass smoothies every day so that Taika could have the best nutrients, right? I fucking smell secondhand smoke. I'm like, get the fuck out of here, right? I'm like that type of care versus like imagine like someone like my mom or my dad in a rocky relationship. I'm like, well, fuck it. I don't give a fuck their cigarette smoke here, because then your care is just different, right? So even with that, because that's what inspired my thought was when you were saying like, well, just give it up for adoption. Yeah. What about the 8-9 months leading up to that point?
Yeah.
Like what kind of trash environment, or maybe even fetal alcohol syndrome, like or whatever crazy shit that could go on. Because if you're not in the right mindset of this is my goal, you're definitely not going to prioritize anything that's going on here.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, didn't Gio have some kind of fucking honey grass shot or something that scientists linked to kids talking about their butts a lot?
Yeah, it was donkey doo-doo. Yeah, honey grass shot linked to donkey doo-doo.
So if you didn't do that, everything else was great.
Yeah, it was great. Good job, man.
And I had to seriously consider, should we keep this one? I mean, he's gonna be fucking talking about butts every day. Butts and poop, that's all he talks about.
In the sonogram, it was just Taika like looking like.
And I think that's like with what Ryan's talking about too, until you actually like faced with it to understand, like, even if you are like, okay, suddenly I'm pro-abortion, and it's like, I flip the script on like what I've grown up to believe or what I've been taught or anything like that. It's at the end of the day, even as dudes, it's still like isn't really our choice in that moment. You know what I'm saying? Like even to be pro-abortion is still look at that woman and be like, what do you want to do? And then how can we support that? Because even if like, yo, honestly, I'm not ready to have a kid, but they're like, I want to have a kid. It's kind of like, well, so what are you going to do? Just bounce? What do you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, because at the same time, I also had a friend, they didn't plan it. They had a kid, and in the minute they had a kid, she didn't even know if that dude was going to be like the caretaker and follow along with the journey. But then her mom hat turned on, and the same exact way that like me and Gio had with Taika, she just assumed it on her own. Yeah. So on the flip side, there are other people that are like, you know what? This is what happened, so I'm gonna own it. Yeah, I'm gonna rise to the occasion and just take care of it 100%. And the way that her care was throughout like all the trimesters was insane too.
I think that some people though are very nice people, and they think that everyone's gonna love babies as much as they love their babies. Yeah. Like, dude, I was talking to this cat last night at the hotel I'm staying at, and he was telling me about how he's with this chick, and they have like a 3-year-old kid, and he's like, yeah, I'm not even sure if I'm gonna stay with her. The kid's pretty cool, but like, I don't know. He's like, it's really fucking annoying having a 3-year-old, and he's like, I just wanna bang her. Yeah, I just wanna bounce. Well, he's telling me how he wants to bounce. God, and like, but yeah, I don't think that somebody who's like babies should be loved and cherished. And so I don't think that that's everybody, obviously. Holy fuck.
And then like we talk about like foster care stuff, right? Like once a baby's born and they're like, I don't want anymore, they put it in the foster system, and then that becomes a whole nother fucking complete gray area and so much trauma, all this craziness that comes out of that whole like system. Like there's so many different variables that people don't really account for, but they want to make their decision on like, this is what I believe and this is the only way. And that's kind of a problem too, but I don't know. It's very touchy.
Portion in the book Freakonomics where they talk about the low crime rate in major cities. There was a certain time where there was a low crime rate that happened, and the whole book is about correlation is not causation, right? So they were saying like, oh, it's because there's everyone's making more money now, that's why the crime is low, or whatever. But then what they really found out was when abortion became legal and people were able to do this, and because young mothers, they're able to pursue higher education, they were able to like maybe go from poverty to middle class or all these things, right? They weren't having kids at a young age and raising them, maybe making a ton of mistakes and maybe them becoming delinquents, And then so they're like, it kind of sucks out of this tragedy. That's what happened. But then it did give the women, the single moms or potential single moms, a fighting chance to go out and, not, I guess, continue the cycle. Because they're probably like raised by a single mom or something in a bad neighborhood or whatever. Yeah. So it's kind of hard to say because it's like, it's one of those things that it's so complex and there's so many minute details depending on where you live, depending on the culture of the people that believe what. Like if it's a religious city, like if everyone in that city, like imagine this happening in Salt Lake City, it's completely different, right? It's a bunch of Mormons and shit. But like in LA or like whatever, and then is the state gonna take care of them? And it's like, how can you answer all this crazy shit?
And I'm definitely not here to be like, am I pro-life, pro-choice? But I do think, or believe that like it shouldn't be a bunch of dudes making a decision on fucking what like women have to endure and go through. So
especially when they're 109, dude.
Yeah. And it's like, it's also one thing to take into account how much of the woman's decision is influenced by the guy's influence on her.
Yeah.
Luckily for me, like to end what I was sharing, I decided we're gonna keep it, and then I had homies at the time. They started like a collection pot to like have some way to like seed some money because I had nothing at 17. And then literally like after like dealing with it for a couple weeks, my girl like she was like, oh, my stomach fucking is killing me. She goes to the bathroom, miscarriage.
Oh wow.
So it was just over, and I was like, holy fuck, like what a gigantic lesson to just learn.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I have to say that wouldn't happen to anybody else, but of course it happens to him.
And I never fucked again.